Even, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Like, even I know sometimes my mom and I, we've gotten closer as I've gotten older, but there's still some taboo things that, like, I don't know if parents just think that, like, once you get to a certain age, it's like,
you should just know it.
Right, it's just like, oh, before, like, for 20 some years in my life, this was an off subject thing. Now you want to talk to me about it, and you're like, why don't you want to talk to me about this? What do you mean, why don't you want to talk about it?
I had to let my mom know. I had to be real upfront with my mom. When minute I graduated, everybody was like, okay, so, you know, are you dating? Do you have a boyfriend? And every month or two go by, my mom be like, so are you dating? Do you have a boyfriend? And I just would say, like, why are you so curious now into my, like, dating life? I literally, before I was graduating, you were always telling me to stay away from boys, which you never even told me what you really meant by stay away from boys. I had male friends, I was living in the house with a guy, like, what do you mean by stay away from boys? So now that I've graduated, in your mind, I'm old enough to start dating. Well, this is why it's so important to, like, speak to your children at early ages. I don't know how to date. You never taught me to date. All I know is what I've seen from you and other people, and I don't believe I've had a lot of examples of healthy relationships. So it's like, I don't really know how to date. I've never had that, you know, being a 16-year-old and somebody's gonna, like, pick me up and you're like, okay, well,
have a great time.
Be back by this time.
The stuff you see on TV shows.
Yeah, or,
and
like,
you see that on TV shows, they're not us.
We're all going to the mall together, but y'all can venture off or something like that. Like, I've never had any of that. It was just, who's this boy? Who are you texting? Who are you doing this thing?
Or even if it's not even, like, a romantic thing, like, you could just, I like, vividly remember getting in trouble because, like, my personality is very just, like, just me, you know. I would be bubbly, talk to whoever, you could be anything, and I'll still have a whole conversation. But because I'm that way, it 100% comes off as flirtatious when it's around boys or men or whatever the case may be. And I always remember, like, I could literally be talking to you about fries. My guy friend comes over, I'm talking about fries too. We keep hearing it up, but then I'm getting in trouble. Like, you was over there being fast with that boy. I was just talking about fries. Like,
let's break it down fast. All these, Jesus, literally, like, hours to talk about these things. So even when people are like, oh, this little girl's being fast, I used to think like that too. I used to be like, so and so is fast, until I had to think about it, and it's basically called, like, adultification. Black girls are just seen as women the minute they start puberty. Like, the minute they start puberty, they're just seen as women. Like, they're not, they're just objectified and adultified. They're treated differently in schools. That's why most of the school dress codes and policies are really deep-rooted into
that. I would never
policing
forget.
Black girls. How does my shoulders bother you from learning, like, what's going on? If anything, we should be trying to figure out why our teacher, who we now know probably wasn't funded enough, is having a hard time teaching us because they're tired and they broke.
But let me tell you how I got in. I remember, because let me tell you, my mom was strict growing up. So, like, my shorts would be, like, down here. They were definitely Bermuda shorts. I had the Bermuda shorts, and I remember, but also I've always been, like, fuller, curvier, you know, even in high school. And so I remember, because this was back in, like, the Urban Outfitter American flag short days, where you can literally see the bottom cuff of the cheek. And I remember walking down the hallway, and somebody else of another race had her little cheeky cheeks hanging out, and I got called out. I was the one who got called. I had my little Bermuda shorts and my love pink shirt. It was like a V-neck, but of course,
I remember those.
like, you know what I'm saying? I was doing, you know, what the girls were doing at the time, but in a reasonable manner, because clearly my mom was not having that. And how am I getting in trouble? I don't understand. Like, that is so true in so many different times. Like, bodycon dresses. It's not my fault. I fill it out a little bit more than this girl who don't got nothing. That's on her. That's her business. But you need to say I'm in my business because I look cute in this. I may have a little bit of
because you in my business and I don't like that. You know, like, but literally, it's just so deep rooted. Even sex ed, right? Most, you know, I don't know the exact number of states, but a majority of the states in the United States don't even have to provide it. And then the ones who do abstinence-based teaching. The reason why abstinence-based teaching doesn't work is because it's fear-based. And I don't know if y'all remember, but like fear-based teaching don't really work. Even whoopings.
Look at coronavirus.
Look at corona.
Look at coronavirus. And this is with adults, so.
But even look at whoopings, right? Getting a whooping, getting your ass beat by your parent didn't stop you from doing it. It stopped you from getting caught. So you were just like, okay, I'm gonna still figure out how to do this, but I'm just not gonna get caught because I don't want you to. I'm afraid that you're gonna whoop me because you caught me. You're not afraid of doing whatever they didn't want you to do. You just didn't want to get caught. And that's basically with abstinence-based teaching. Like, it's seen like with abstinence-based teaching and fear-based teaching, they're just most likely just gonna go behind that back and go do it and get themselves in like even worse scenarios because
and then they don't feel comfortable telling you that they've been in this scenario.
They're supposed to be abstinent, and they get in scenarios where they don't know how to communicate. They don't know condom negotiation. They don't understand consent and all of those things. Yeah. Also, you know, back in the day, it was very like Mean Girls, like don't have sex, you get pregnant and die, right? But nowadays, it's not like that. There's no cookie cutter, you go to school, you go to college, you get a job anymore. That is dead, and I'm thankfully, but you know, my loans, I wish I knew a little bit beforehand. And Sally Mae, if you watching, go away. Like, just go. However, but like it just doesn't work. So when we say like we're teaching sex ed, we say comprehensive and inclusive sex ed. Comprehensive in the sense that we are teaching them just so that they understand. And it's shown statistically that if there's comprehensive sex ed, the level of engagement of engaging in sexual activities or high teenage pregnancy rates or high STI contraction and transmission rates, all of that goes down with more with comprehensive sex ed. And then also inclusive, we've all been there where we're trying to learn something and it doesn't apply to us, so we just zone out. Like, you're literally like, this is not my business, I don't fit in this, so it doesn't make sense. So if I'm teaching and all of my teaching is heteronormative and it's based on heterosexual relationships, then those who don't identify as heterosexual aren't going to pay attention. It doesn't work for them. Like, there are certain things that they go through in their own sexuality or in their own sexual world that a hetero person may not. Yeah. So that's why it has to be inclusive as well. All connected. I say everything is connected. It's just all connected. Or even if you're taking it to like, you're saying psychology. So like what I've been talking about most of the time is more so like reproductive justice and like sexual education. But there are sex therapists. They deal heavily with the mental part of the, because sexuality is very big on mental as well. Like if your mental isn't there, your sexuality can be off. And not your sexuality, but just your sexual lifestyle can be off. So with sex therapists, which I'm learning is not only are they like, you know, probably talking to people who've had sexual trauma and all of those things that people normally talk about, they're also talking about people who like don't feel sexual at all, and they're trying to figure out like, is this normal? Everyone around me feels extremely sexual, why don't I feel this way? People who may not want to engage in anything, people who are trying to figure out how to change their lifestyle. Maybe they want to be one way but they don't understand it. People who feel some way but there's not a word to figure out who they are or things like that. So they deal a lot on that. And then also, how does your sexual life influence your mental health? Or how does your mental health influence your sexual health? Some antidepressants lower people's libido and sex drive. Some increase people. Being hypersexual can be a result of some sexual trauma or abuse, but also not being sexual at all could be a response. Like, it's literally so sexual health and mental health. Yeah,
they and go hand in hand. The little gift.
Yeah, literally. I can do it. It's literally hand in hand, but it's also like what was I about to say? Oh yeah, but it's also just like health is the umbrella term, and there's different like subsections, but it's literally all connected. Like the same way you should be able to go in and get like cancer screenings and things like that, because you know, unfortunately when Chadwick passed away, everyone's like, go get checked for this, go get your colon checked or whatever. One, we already know the healthcare system's hard, so it's not that easy. But two, it should be the same way. You should be easy to like get, you know, checked for the flu. You should have the same access to be able to get checked for STIs. You should have the same access to get like a pelvic ultrasound. Literally, I called my doctor today and I was like, something just feels off, and she was just like, you know, you could just come in and we'll do a pelvic ultrasound to make sure that you don't have any cysts or any fibroids. And I'm just like, thank you so much. Because it's not always like, I think with sexual and reproductive health and with the sex positive movement, everyone always thinks it's just like, oh, I'm just saying like, feel free to do whatever you want, you know, just be these sexual hippies who do anything, who frolic and do anything. But you know, and it's just like, we're not shaming it. If you want to do that, if you are a sexual hippie and you want to frolic with everyone, go ahead, and that's why the movement is positive. But
people miss
I'm not only fighting for that. When I say I'm fighting for sexual reproductive health, I want people to be able to say and be like, oh, I might have ovarian cancer, or I might have cysts on my ovaries, or infertility. Like, there's so many other things that are included